it's Max Brantley, the Arkansas Times, on a record cold Monday, December 19th with news from Arkansas. At the state capitol today, the 6 delegates of the Arkansas Republican Party chosen to cast the state's ballots in the Electoral College voted, as expected by everyone, for Donald Trump and Mike Pence for president and vice president. Several dozen protesters were on hand to urge them to vote for somebody else. It wasn't going to happen, of course. They shouted that the electors were electing a fascist and a homophobe. The Secretary of State, Mark Martin, threatened to throw them out if they didn't quiet down, but things went normally here and across the rest of the United States. Perhaps one Hillary Clinton elector defected in Maine and went for Bernie Sanders, but Donald Trump, it appears, even more likely to be our president come next month. A tragedy in Little Rock Saturday night. A grandmother taking 2 children, a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, to a shopping center, got engaged in a horn honking contest with a man behind her. The man got out of his car, fired a shot. She thought it was a warning shot. In fact, it was not. She got to the shopping center and found her 3-year-old grandson, Asen King, was dead. There are no suspects yet in this shooting. It's the second shooting of a young child in a drive-by in a car within the last month in Little Rock, and nobody really knows what to do about it. There was news late Friday on something we discussed on the Friday show, and that was to resolve an impasse with the legislature over the operation of 7 state juvenile lockup facilities for juvenile offenders. Governor Asa Hutchinson decided to take over the centers for state operation. Local agencies had been operating them. An out-of-state company had been a successful bidder to operate them all. The local companies objected. They got a lot of legislators on their side. And thanks to a new constitutional amendment and state enabling legislation, the legislature has pretty well veto power on a lot of executive agency actions. I thought this was a bad idea when this went to voters 2 years ago, and it's proving to be that way. The governor's not happy. He thinks it subverts the procurement process. He thinks it may even be unconstitutional, might need a lawsuit. But it's not a good thing about the relationship between the executive and the legislative, that's for sure. Governor Hutchinson went to Springdale today, spoke at the Rotary Club, and announced that a former Springdale High School classmate of his, Philip Taldo, a successful real estate developer, will be his next appointment to the State Highway Commission. He'll start a 10-year term in January. In Little Rock, City Manager Bruce Moore picked Susan Altrui, who's been acting director of Little Rock Zoo, to be the zoo director full-time to succeed the retiring Mike Blakely. She'll make $110,000 a year. She was chosen over 2 other finalists from out of state. She's done a good job raising money for the zoo. A new state survey of all the 50 states by CNBC ranks Arkansas 41st in business climate. This is ranking in a number of areas on a lot of statistical indicators, and no, it's not about taxes. If you listen to the Arkansas legislature, you think our high income tax rate, or what they call a high rate, is the sole obstacle to economic development in the state. What the survey shows is this is actually a very cheap place to do business when you count taxes, utility costs, property costs, workforce costs. We're a cheap place to do business, about the 3rd cheapest in the country, in fact. But we don't rank well in quality of life, education, technology, and a lot of important things that sometimes take a little bit of money from state government to be better at. That's not something our legislature is likely to do this year, spend more money on anything, no matter how much good it does. Another political note, Clint Reed, a political consultant and partner in the impact management group of Little Rock. He worked in Marco Rubio's presidential campaign in the primary season as his campaign manager. He's joining Rubio's staff as chief of staff for his U.S. Senate operation. I expect he'll be back on the presidential campaign scene sooner or later. Go to the ArkansasBlog.com to read some interesting findings on education. 2 new studies, one from Stanford University and another from Illinois, show that the best bang for your buck comes in conventional public schools, not charter schools, not private schools. They over and over again top those competitors in outcomes. That's conventional public schools. I felt that way about Little Rock for a long time, although the flavor of the day seems to be so-called choice. Even private schools, which seem to do very well when you adjust for the comparing students' demographics, don't do as well as the regular public schools, that new Illinois survey showed. And finally, go to the Arkansas blog to see some interesting video of the demolition of the Jumbotron and other parts of what used to be called the Broyles Athletic Complex at Razorback Stadium in Fayetteville. It's kind of interesting video, and it makes way for what's going to be a $200 million project to expand the stadium, improve athletic offices, and provide a lot more of those high-dollar seats that bring in big money from high-paying ticket buyers. I've been interested in reading our blog to see a lot of old-timers from UA days, remembering fondly not so much the Broyles Athletic Complex, but that area known as the Pit, a sunken parking lot outside where People used to go with their dates and sit and talk in their cars. Lots of talk was held in that place, they say. I'm Max Brantley. I'll be back tomorrow.